If you rather lay down, that's fine also. Just relaxing your shoulders, having a nice tall spine, crown is reaching upwards. Sitting in a relaxed manner. Just watching your breath. Just letting everything else go. So I'm just going to take an excerpt of the reading. So just listen as you sit here. Going to develop a sense of gratitude by thinking about our mothers in this present life. So your mother began her hardships. So she began her hardships for me while I was still in her womb, gladly taking it upon herself to avoid anything she might hurt me, even down to the food that she ate, treating herself with care as though she were sick. For 9 months she carried me in her womb, looking at her own body as though it belonged to someone else, someone very ill and hesitating even to take big steps. As she gave me birth, my mother was torn with violent suffering, excruciating pain, and yet still felt an overwhelming joy, as though she had discovered some precious gem that would grant her any wish. Right then I knew absolutely nothing more than to cry and wave my arms around somehow. I was totally helpless, totally stupid, incapacitated. Nothing more than some baby chick with a red rubber beak still yet to harden. But she swayed me on her fingertips, pressed me into her body's warmth, and greeted me with a smile of love. With joyful eyes she gazed at me, wiped the snot from my face with her lips, cleaned my filthy shit with her hands. Sometimes she chewed food for me, fed me things like milky porridge straight from her mouth to mine. She did her best to protect me from any hurt. She did her best to get me any good. In those days, I had to look to her for everything, good or bad, happy or sad. All the hope I could have lay in one person, Mother. But for her kindness, I would not have lasted an hour. They could have set me out in the open right then, and some birds or a dog would have come and made a meal of me. I'd have no hope of coming out alive. Every single day she protected me from such harms that could have taken my life, no less than 100 times. Such was her kindness. And while I was growing up, she gathered together whatever I needed, avoiding no bad deed, no suffering, and caring nothing for what other people might say of her. All the money and things she handed over to me, hesitating to use any for herself. And for those of us who are fortunate enough to be practicing the monastic life or going to school, it was Mother who put forth all the necessary expenses, giving without reservation. And from that time on she supported from whatever resources she had. Thus, the kindness she has shown us is truly without measure. This is not the only life in which my present mother has given this kindness to me. She has showered me with this kindness, great kindness, over and over, countless times in many lives before. And she's not the only one. Every single living being has been my mother in my past lives, and during those lives cared for me no less than my present mother does. It's only my transitions from death to birth that prevent me from recognizing all these mothers now. The next step in gaining the wish for enlightenment is to develop a wish to repay this kindness. So every living being is my mother and has given me her loving care over and over endlessly from time no beginning. And we know from what was described above that they are swept along by 4 great currents out to sea. To the vast expanse, the ocean of cyclic life, they are tormented without a break by the 3 types of suffering and all the other pains. The situation is desperate. And here I am, their child. Right now I have a chance to rescue them from this ocean of cyclic life. Suppose I simply sit and bide my time and give no thought to them. This is the lowest a person could stoop, base and absolutely shameless. Right now I could give them things that they would be happy to get, food or clothes or beds to sleep on or whatever. These are only some temporary happiness within the circle of life. The very highest way of repaying their kindness would be to put them into the state of ultimate happiness. So let me decide within myself that every living being must come to have every happiness, and everyone should be freed as well from every form of pain. So just sit with that for a moment more. And then you can slowly come back. So we'll go a little bit deeper into that later on in this class, as today's class is about how to develop bodhicitta, how to develop this wish.
So maybe not a silly question, but just can I ask a question? It's a little bit about the meditation brought up. I really like that one, but I remember we were talking about how you said about the turtle that comes up and that coming back. Being born a human is really special. And I remember one of the readings was saying that it seemed like you had to have a lot of virtue to come back as a human.
Yeah.
I guess that was new to me because I thought, well, I actually, I thought our default was to come back as a human and just keep reliving samsara, but
Right.
it's really like it's really to go into the lower realms is the default, and we actually have to do well enough to come back as a human.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Wow.
the default is to come back as a human, which isn't,
Yeah.
you know, great if you're born in some parts of the world. But so the default is to go to the lower realms than animal.
Because of the ignorance that we have, right? And because of all the bad deeds that we do. So, you know, I've thought about, so how do you get up then when you're an animal? How do you make it to becoming a human if you can't really think the way we think? You know, how can you, if you're a fly, then, you know, go up from there? And in the scriptures it says, like, even as a fly, and you fly around a stupa, you know, in a monastery, then you're collecting great virtue. So I like to have the practice at home that when I release a spider or a bug or something, to place it on a piece of scripture and then releasing it outside. So you can bring them up. Give them a little hand to be reborn higher.
So our dogs, when they take care of us and nurture us, and our cats, they're getting the karma to come back as a
Yeah.
mine
It's
definitely.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, sometimes, you know, to me it appears like certain dogs may have a much better life than humans, you know. I mean, both ways. Some dogs don't at all, but some do. And I think one of the causes to be reborn as a dog is disrespecting your teacher. Something like that. So as a dog, all of a sudden you're forced to bow down all the time now to beings, and that would be like correlation would be a result
Sorry, see that.
of
Disrespecting your teachers. Now you have to bow down to everyone.
as a dog being reborn as a dog.
If you did or if you didn't.
Yeah.
If you didn't respect your teacher,
So then all of a sudden you're forced to be laying on their feet all the time. Right? I don't know if that's always the case, obviously, but some dogs seem to live a very amazing life, you know. Doesn't mean that maybe they were a very good person, but they did a certain thing over and over as a human, which then forces them to be a dog, but still have enough virtue to, you know, be in a warm, loving home, you know. So let's, so we're going to talk about that in a moment. Who can here tell me what the 4 laws of karma are?
Everything you do has a result.
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Everything you do has a result.
Okay, thank you.
everything.
Every action you commit.
Yeah, like kind of that's your first one. Good action leads to good.
That's not the first one.
Yeah, that was which one is that?
Karma grows. I don't know which order.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Karma grows.
Yeah.
No action, no result.
Yeah, and then what Hogan said is good actions will lead to good results, and negative actions lead to negative results. And then within all of that, we can always remember that there's a time gap.
Yes, there's no such thing as instant.
Yeah, so everything, every seed takes time to grow. have an instant apple tree when you plant that seed. Same with your actions. But then if you water it, and put it in a sunny spot, then it might grow faster than if you would throw that apple seed in the desert, and it might not be a nice, beautiful tree as a result. So can we shower our seeds with wisdom, then they will grow faster, more powerful. So it's good to know these four, to remind ourselves, when something yucky happens to you, that you can remember where that came from, Oh yeah, I must have planted that seed myself. Instead of wanting to blame. It's often what we like to do. Or it goes automatic, I watched this documentary on Netflix the other day, and it's called Lost for Life, and it's about, I think the premise of the show is kids that commit a horrible crime when they're young, should they receive life in prison without any parole? Are they still the same person when they're an adult than when they did something when they were 16? And these are horrible crimes. They've murdered people and stuff, right? That's kind of what it's about. But they follow these few guys very closely, and it's very beautiful because they are doing so much growing. It's insane, like way more than anyone out. They got time there, and somehow they landed in the perfect situation. Where these guys are not in gangs, or they're not pulled by I don't know, by other inmates. They are going through their own personal journey, and this one guy, it's just amazing. It's really beautiful to see through their eyes, because we can think they're murderers, whatever, lock them up, or we can put ourselves in their shoes and try to understand where it is that they come from, why did they do these things. And then the process that they're going through. And what I saw, this pattern, is that most of them the first few years, they deny everything they did. They blame their parents, they blame their friends, they blame, for years they cannot even look at what they did. And then some of them that are more ripe or ready, they start to face after a few years. And then, in particular, this one guy, he starts to take full responsibility. This is the first step in healing. You have to take responsibility. I have killed that girl, and I have to repay her till I die, It was just so beautiful. Like, every action that he takes is steeped in that wisdom, in that knowing I have to do right because I did something so wrong to this girl. So for her, I'm going to do it right. For her, and the choices that I'm making today is all for her. I owe that to her, and that's the least I can do, Beautiful, beautiful. Whether they'll get parole or not, I think some of these guys learn way more there than what they would ever learn out here, where they're always chasing the next dream or whatever. No, they're faced with their mind. And this other guy was just talking about, he's looking closely to what's coming up in his mind, goes to that dark place, and then another layer goes, and then it'll be the next thing, and there's always a next thing that he then has to work through. I just thought, God, this is beautiful, very beautiful.
Mariska, can I ask a question? So there are, this is interesting because I just worked with someone recently, and it was quite profound, but when her mother got pregnant with her, she tried to abort her 3
Mhm.
times.
Okay. 3 times.
3 times.
And she's still here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, um, so the karma that we bring in obviously begins immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's her karma that, like, her mother has her own karma, but it's
Yeah.
her karma to have gone through that suffering of feeling like you're almost going to die 3 times.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just, because of course, in our sort of Western idea, we don't want to think that, we think that babies are innocent. There's nothing that, right? But
Yeah.
obviously, the karma's already started.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
What was the name of that again?
Lost for life. Yeah, I thought it was beautiful. It was very touching. Yeah. Many of us don't get that chance to go to those dark places and heal like that.
Well, I remember when I was younger, I was suffering so much that I was just hoping for something. I was hoping that I could get incarcerated or put somewhere where I couldn't, where I didn't have to face the world anymore. And because on some level I knew that would help me, I mean, it's pretty tough out there.
It is. It is.
I mean, as a young person, your mind is, everyone's got their own journey, but
Yeah.
so I can see how any kind of monastic life would lead to huge realizations.
Yeah. Yeah. But not necessarily, I mean, you could end up, so I'm talking about jail, which, allows you a lot of thinking time, but there's also guys who would never, they don't have the karma to sit down and be quiet, maybe they're involved in, I don't know,
Involved
in
a gang. Right.
being completely consumed with who they're going to attack next in prison, and that's what takes over their mind.
Yeah.
Same in the monastery, it's not like you go to the monastery and everything will be cool. Now I can start my journey here in dealing with all my stuff. Not necessarily. If you don't have that in place, you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter, and it will not happen for you at that time. And same for the opposite, if you do have it, you can be in the loudest, most distracting places, and yet you can have the most profound realizations. You need to have something in place for that to take place. Like in this particular documentary, one of the guys who committed the murder together with the guy that takes full responsibility. This boy does not take any responsibility. So he's been there for 6 years and he has not grown nothing because he's still like, yeah, I'm innocent. I'm not going there. He's too scared to go to that place to, and most of us do that. We don't like to go there. It's way easier to blame your mom or your dad, right? Yeah.
That's true. I guess I just see man, I don't mean man, but people, human. Every problem that mankind has stems from the inability to sit in a room quiet. I'm sure it's an expression I've read somewhere, but it's so true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can look at what's happening in the world, and you can see that there's such a, I'm not interested in talking about politics per se, but it's such a perfect example where those people who are in the arena have never sat quiet. Not recently, anyway.
Yeah.
And it's profound, the simplicity of it all.
Yeah, and what did they do? They blame each other, they give all the big bad lists about the other politician. I mean, not that I've watched much of it, but I've yet to see any politician point out their own mistakes or point out the good in the opponent, you know. That would be nice to see this debate that they're just bringing each other down instead lifting each other up, you know. Trying to convince people to vote for the opponent. That would be really nice.
I just think the ingredients of having yourself in a room or somewhere quiet, like jail, like a psych ward, like somewhere where you're disconnected from everything, can lead down this blissful path these lost for life kids made of.
I need to point out something though, honestly, on these documentaries, because I was a documentary filmmaker, my friends were documentary filmmakers. It's not always what's being shown.
Right.
Just to be really clear.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that they will pick and cut and do things.
Or
sure.
ask them to speak a certain way. They will be led to do so, right? To be in the documentary and sometimes get a break from where they are by participating.
Yeah, sure.
So I just say that because I just saw this beautiful documentary about this Maori family living off the grid.
Oh, yeah.
And I know the filmmaker, and I went, it's just so gorgeous. He said, oh my God, the place was a pigsty. It's like, whoa. Like the reality was not anything on that screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's all perspective.
Right? So I think that whatever happened to, like it's not like it can't happen, but, I have never, ever been in jail where it's not just completely frightening what's going on a day-to-day basis.
No, thank you for pointing it out. Okay, let's review the 8 worldly thoughts, and then we'll get into the new class. Who can name some of the 8 worldly thoughts?
Getting something.
Sorry?
Getting something and not getting something. Praise, no praise. Fame and no fame. That's one. 2 more.
2 more.
Feeling good and not feeling good, is that pain and no pain?
That's it. That is the last one. Yeah, that's the last set.
Sit saying something nice and not sit praise or fun and fame.
So all of these things, you feel good when someone says
You
something
get it
good.
and you're unhappy when you don't. Or you get something you don't want.
I heard it. I was listening to another Buddhist track, and I heard it said a little differently, and it was really interesting to see it.
How did it say?
I can't remember all the parts, but I remember the praise one was praise versus blame, fame versus, I guess, what Carol was saying last week, the opposite of
Infamous.
being defamed, notoriety, the opposite of that, but being with that. Yeah, that's how she was saying it. Yeah, it was interesting.
Praise versus
Blame.
Very interesting. Those two come.
So, again, all of these are things that happen all the time. Cannot avoid them.
So I have a question. Is it the difference of, were these all written in Tibetan or Sanskrit, or, so is it the translations to English because we have so few words that?
People translate things differently. Definitely. Yeah, so this came from Tibetan, which was translated already, because it came from India originally. Yeah, and then it's translated to English, so things will get different translations depending who translates, right? Yeah. So all of these will happen to you all the time, every day. And that's okay. That's the way it is. So then it's up to us, how attached are we? You know, we have to figure that part out. When someone says something like amazing to you, watch what your mind does, you know. Does your mind like it and wants more of it? Does it make you feel good, you know? Will you do actions so you can get more of that? Like, just watch what it is that it does for you. And then can we apply wisdom to it? Can we understand that the only reason why someone says something nice to you and it makes you feel happy is because you've been doing nice things for other people. So it's just a result coming up. Can we just watch it in that way and not be fully jumping onto it, wanting to hold on to that, wanting more of it, you know? Because it's not going to make you happy. Makes you feel good for a second. It's not gonna last, you know? It's not gonna take you out of samsara when we cling to all these things, right? And certainly if we do actions just to get those type of things, it's not going to bring happiness. It's not going to bring happiness. What we're trying to do here is trying to teach you how karma and emptiness work, how you can manipulate the karma so you can change your whole projection into seeing yourself as the Buddha and having a very different perception of the world. So what we're talking about today is 2 methods of achieving bodhicitta. And actually the first one we're not going to talk much about, mostly the second one. But the first one is called Dakshin Nyamje. Yeah, this means Dak is I in Tibetan. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Shen is others. And then Nyam is equal. And J is exchange. So it's exchanging self for others. And it's a meditation that's mainly taught by Master Shantideva. And it's about basically putting yourself in someone else's shoe. Okay. So, you act in a certain way that you think will be helpful to the other person. So, say Hogan likes to drink, I don't know, almond milk, and he thinks, well, maybe Mariska should drink that too, but he's not. He buys me, thanks Georgina, but he buys me often, you know, a yummy drink from Starbucks. It's not something that Hogan would go for himself, is my guess. But yet, he gets it for me because he knows I like it, okay? So that would be Dakshin Namje. He's not forcing onto me what he thinks I should have. He's not getting me almond milk. No, he's getting me something he knows I like, okay? So like that. So you try to put yourself in someone else's shoe and then act to them in the way that you think will help them most, okay? So it's not about you. It's about the other person. You want them to become happy, and you want to give them what you think it is that they actually want. And this is why I like that documentary once more, because we can kind of put ourselves in the shoes of these guys and we can try to understand where they're coming from, rather than just thinking, you know, oh, they're all killers, let them rotten, you know, because that's my opinion. But in this way, we kind of get to see a little bit of how their mind is working. So like that.
It's also, just because we're discussing karma, it's also in that scenario with those men that it was their karma to murder. Like there was nothing else that they could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to say no, but yeah.
I just meant in the context of what we're learning, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
they had no choice but
Mhm.
to see things as they saw things and act how they
That's
acted.
true. That's true. Yeah. That's true.
So that kind of also brings a lot of compassion because
Yeah.
if the person doesn't have a choice, it's not.
Mm-hmm. All they want is to be happy, and for some reason, they act the way they do to get some sort of relief of their pain, right? Yeah. So I do think that, if we do this exchanging self for others, until we're a Buddha, we cannot really know what someone else is thinking. But we can use our best judgment, We can try and think what it is that this other person wants or needs. Yeah. So that's the first way to generate bodhicitta. I do think it's a very valuable way, because if you would really practice this, it would refrain you from judging people all the time, right? If you really practice this, like just watch yourself anytime when you walk down the street, or you have just all your judgment ready about everybody all the time. And if you would really practice this, it would be very different. It would be a different experience, right?
It's one that probably would require a lot of questioning, and it would change from person to person. If I think about my daughter,
Yeah.
she would want double dessert every night. I give that to her, and I do.
Yeah.
And then going back to mother, I know this class is about mother, but I find I can't please my mother. So what do I do there?
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
get to the mother
but
part in a
this
second.
is also helpful.
Yeah.
So it's
I'll move
right?
on to the next person. I can help.
Like
but yeah.
you can figure what might be helpful for your mother. You may not give her what she wants, right? But you're giving what you believe would be helpful. Like your daughter, you do so much that's helpful for your daughter, right? Like it's helpful. It's not. That's what you said. You said you act in a way that will be helpful to the other person.
Yeah.
Helpful is
We
very
want
different.
them to be happy, right? So yeah, I mean, you have to use your judgment, and especially as a mom caring for a child, you can't have them have a diet of candy.
It wouldn't be helpful.
With the knowledge that we have, we think no, they need to have their vitamins, and you need to help them be healthy in order for them to function, better. So you have to use your judgment in that. But I think maybe you can just think of this more with suffering, suffering beings.
Yes. Helpful is different from
Want.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, that has help.
I think that's the nuance of it, right?
Yeah.
It's you gotta.
You have to keep
You do. Yeah.
finer elements of it.
Yeah. And it depends a little bit on the person too.
The situation, I mean, we're wanting to help our kids all the time. Sometimes it's a short term, and sometimes you're not wanting to get into the habit of eating 2 desserts is a long term intention, right? It's not that, yes, the short term intention, you want them to, maybe if she was in the hospital and she just got pain, you might tell her, let's have a double dessert, to help relieve some of the pain. But your long term, you didn't want her to have that habit of
All the time.
so having different intentions is what
how can we get them to a happier
You will be blamed.
So,
So-
acting in a way that's helpful, whether it's right or not. I mean, maybe I don't need to ask this right now, but it sort of seems to be coming up. So, does it matter? Just the act of trying to be helpful, of what you think is helpful, even though it might not be helpful, does that matter?
Yeah, I think you have to watch your own mind. Am I trying to impose my views onto somebody else, or can I help them where it looks like they're at, and give them help so they can be happier, you know? So it's comes always down to watch your own motivation in whatever you do, you know? If you're giving your child 2 desserts, what is your motivation here, you know? Just watch.
What comes to mind is the street person who wants money,
Yeah.
and we've been trained, do not give them money because they're going to go buy booze or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much like, oh, do I give them money or not? Because it may not be helpful in the long run, but right now they need money, so what? I got to give them money.
Well, you know, can I give a little perspective on that? Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay. So the boys and I adopted a street person. We always adopt one. And we gave them, because I don't like just giving money willy-nilly. And for 3 years, we gave him money. We gave him blankets, and we gave him old sweat. We gave him whatever. He got off the street, he got an apartment, got a cell phone. And he's got a job.
Because you guys helped him.
He came up to, yes, because every day we would give, and it was like a dime, a quarter, the kids would give whatever. But we intentionally, because I said I don't like this watered down donations, it just doesn't work for me. But what works for me is let's pick one and let's just help them. And we did, and he did, and right. So I think that whatever people say that they don't get off the street or they won't get off the street, my experience is he did. He got off the street. He wanted to get off the street.
But when you're in India, you start helping somebody. I'm sorry, it's like everybody, you know. And then it's like, what would I do in this situation? I really don't know. Like, we're not, you know. And is it helping when I don't know? It gets really confusing.
It does. I think, again, you know, here in town, it's a wonderful idea to just pick one person and stick with it. And, but yeah, I think
I can't speak to India, never been there.
you need to
It's a culture.
watch your mind. Like, is there any resistance in your mind to want to give? You know, sometimes we like to just use that as an excuse. Well, he's probably going to buy booze anyway, so I'm not going to give him. Like, is that truly what you think? Or is it just a way to cop out so you don't have to pull out your wallet, you know? Like, just watch your mind. What's coming up, being honest with yourself, you know? And sometimes what I do is I just send them, like, a mental thing, you know, when I walk by, and I feel like I just offer them wisdom rather than giving them something physical.
This idea of giving homeless people food when they're actually wanting money, it's confusing because they don't want the food, they want the money, right? So okay. I don't know. It seems like it's huge, and it's going to get huger. This problem is growing massively in the world, and it's probably one of the reasons I'm here, because it's hard to see so many people suffer, and we're not even in it, you know, suffering part of the world.
So ultimately, what we're going to just about to get into is that ultimately we want like true happiness for them, right? And that's the biggest thing we can give, and it'll be more helpful than you giving them a sandwich or something, you know.
They get
and
money.
this is like
They're free to choose what
mhm,
they choose what makes them happy.
yeah. Um, sure, but yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, we'll try to go bigger. You
Hold
know,
the space.
when we can reach enlightenment ourselves, that's how you help everybody. So that's really the biggest thing you can give anybody is working on your own practice. That's the biggest gift. That's way bigger than giving him a sandwich or a loonie, you know. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. Of course, it's beautiful if you can, but you know, they'll get sick, they'll get old, they'll die. You know, it's what we're trying to do is go beyond all of that and get out of that cycle of suffering completely, right? So if that can be your main practice.
Sometimes I find too, just becoming aware of a person as a human being. Like even if you say no, you're looking at them and you're aware of them and you speak to them. That's very healing too. For someone to be seen.
To be seen,
and feeling
definitely.
recognized.
Yeah.
So we don't know actually what will be helpful, as you say. So
So So the first method is like forget about yourself, trying to exchange your happiness with their happiness, like wanting them to be happy, right? And helping them from that place. So then the second way is it's called the 7 steps for training yourself in bodhicitta. 7-part cause and effect instruction. And it's actually 8 steps, but it's called 7 steps. Because step 0 is equanimity. And that's from where you begin. So you have to see everybody as equal. That's the first step 0. That's the 0th step. And so how can I see how can I see Hoga and someone who I see as, you know, trying really hard to be a good person and to help people, and how can I see him as equal as the guy who robs the store? How can I see them as equal? How can I see everybody as equal? How can I see Hogan and this person as equal?
Because you know Hogan did that too.
yay!
We all do. We all
Well,
That's a very good point.
that's a
Yeah.
good point. But I think that we're both suffering. We're both wanting to be happy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we
Yeah.
both want to be happy, and we both want to, but trying in our own way. You know, he's trying to take care of that, and I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do to be happy too.
Yeah, they're both. Those are exactly the points I was looking for, actually. So yeah, that is how we are all equal. We are all equal because we're all in pain. We're all suffering. That is how we are equal. That is how I can love that guy who's robbing the store in the same way as Hogan, because I can see that. I can see that, you know, we're all suffering. We're all trying to do our best in the way we can, in the way we know. And then there is like, yeah, think about all the lives that Hogan has led before this one, you know. He's been everything. Hogan's been a murderer. Hogan's, killed me 1,500 times. But he's also been my father. He's also been my brother, my child. He's been my everything, and in good and bad ways. So now the guy that robs the bank is in that place, and that's going to change again too. So yeah, Georgina's completely right, and maybe just already in this life only Hogan has been that person, who knows. So we have all been everything hundreds and hundreds of times. So in that sense we are all the same, and it means that Hogan's been my mother many times, and that's what this meditation is about. It's about everybody has been my mother before. Everybody has given me life at some point. And what we did in that meditation, they've gone through a hard time getting me here, and we've all been that for each other at some point. So we have to repay the kindness of our mothers. So that is this meditation. Try to see everybody as your mother. So step 0 is that equanimity, seeing everybody as equal. Then step 1 is recognizing everybody has been your mother. And that's difficult, for Westerners especially, I think. And this is not about pretending. I'm just going to pretend Georgina was my mother. No, I'm actually realizing it. There's a difference between that. Actually sitting down and thinking about it. How can that be? Is it possible?
Everybody's been my mother, I've been their mother.
Yeah.
Isn't the debt the same on both sides? Are we on an equal playing field now?
What do you mean?
So he's been your mother, you've been his mother.
Mm-hmm.
You're on an equal playing field.
Mm-hmm.
So neither one of you owe each other debts. Because you've been his mother as many times he's been your mother.
It's not about that. It's just about recognizing the kindness of what other people have given you. So you want to repay that kindness. It's not about not owing anything because you owe it to each other or something. No, it's a state of mind where you want to repay. What they've gone through for you. So you have to accept that you've had past lives or this won't work. So it's not really about how your current relationship is with your mother. It's not really about that. It's really about you are being here right now because of your mother. And that is a huge gift. The fact what we did in the meditation, whether she's the most loving, caring mother or not, she kept you alive. You would have died without her, right? Like that's a huge, huge gift. The fact that she birthed you. So we want to remember that kindness. That is step 2. We want to remember the kindness.
towards all.
To all, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like recognizing everyone was your mother, so you have to remember everyone's kindness.
yeah. And you know, it's tremendously painful for your mother to bring you into the world. Just to remember that. So by remembering that kindness, we feel like, okay, let's pay it back. And they use the example in the scripture of burning fire or coals, and you see your mother fall into it. You're not just going to stand back and wait for someone else to help, you know. No, you're in there, pulling them out, right? Saving them. Like that. And then the idea is that we are in that, everybody is in that burning pit of fire, so we need to help. We need to help everybody.
Still part of the second one? Or is
That's the
that
third. The
oh,
third is repaying back the
repaying
kindness.
kindness.
So those first three, if you believe that all beings have been your mother, you remember their kindness, and you want to repay that, those as a group of three, they cause step number 4, which is love, jampa, love, jampa. And jampa refers to you love all beings like they were your only child. So the difference between love and compassion would be love, you want to give them everything. You're obsessed with giving them every good thing, okay? Compassion is you want to take away all the bad stuff.
Is that the Buddhist definition of compassion? To take away
Their pain.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Because I always just thought meant exchanging, so understanding how they are, but it's taking away their pain.
Yeah, there's different levels of
All
compassion.
different levels.
But yeah, great compassion, they say, is that.
Oh, great compassion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great compassion is to understand how they feel or take away their pain.
Take everything away.
It's great
Yeah.
compassion.
Yeah.
Take away pain and suffering.
Yeah. So the compassion is step number 5. So 4 is, so you first love them and then you want to take away their suffering. With the idea that if you don't love them, you probably wouldn't want to take away their suffering, you know? That's why love is first. So they all, they lead, one leads to the next, right? So then the next one is that you then make the decision that regardless of the difficulty, if nobody helps you, you will do it.
If no one helps you, you would.
Even if nobody helps you, you are going for this. You want to get bodhicitta. You want to help people. You want to serve people. You want to free everybody of pain. And I don't care if nobody helps me. You know, I'll do it myself. And that's the direct cause for bodhicitta. That's what flops over into bodhicitta. And that's a beautiful, powerful feeling, you know. I can say myself, like, I don't share any of what my practice is with people, my family, friends. They don't know. I don't talk about Buddhism. I don't. But I have that very strong, clear vision of what I'm going for, you know. And it feels very powerful. It doesn't matter. I don't need anybody to cheer me on, you know. It's like I'm doing it. And I don't need to talk to people about it. It's a very powerful feeling.
That's what a mother does too. Mother, nobody helps clean up, or she'll just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Do it.
Suck it up and do it.
Go George.
Yeah. So then that will flop over into bodhicitta, which is the last step. Okay.
7
Is Jongsem bodhicitta.
is realizing bodhicitta.
Yes. You achieved the wish. You achieved the wish. Truly. Once you are determined to help everybody, you must gain the capacity to do so. So I'll just repeat them. Or maybe you guys repeat them. Yeah. What's the first one?
Zero. Equanimity. Everyone as equal.
Yeah.
We are one.
First one then is recognizing everyone was your mother.
Step 2, remember their kindness. And repair the kindness.
4 is love all beings as your only child. Love is giving to receive.
Yes.
And then feel compassion for them. Everyone.
And then step 6, if no one will help you, you'll do it yourself.
Step 7, you've achieved the wish. You have bodhicitta.
So these actually go in that order, you're saying? Or
Well, this is one way to get to having this wish in your heart. Yeah.
because I'm sure as human beings we would go in and out of each of these, right?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I felt compassion for people, but I haven't loved them.
Mm-hmm.
For sure not.
Mm-hmm.
And I often thought, I can at least feel compassion for people, even if I can't love them, right? Some people I just can't.
She's stuck on.
Yeah, but I actually do think that, if you can feel compassion, there must be a component of love in there too. I don't think you can do without. You might have a little veil over it, but
Did
must
you
be
not feel love, Georgina, because you didn't see them as your mother?
I definitely
Yeah.
did not see them as my mother.
Well, because we say one leads to the other, right?
Mhm.
So if you don't have those first ones, you're not going to get to loving them.
So it's a beautiful meditation to sit down and to go through the steps, right? And just watch everything that comes up and use that as a practice for a while.
I can see this would be challenging. Like, not in the sense, on some level, I think it isn't, but on some level, because we live in a really crazy, you actually require a lot of presence and time, like, to do this
Mm-hmm.
with every human being that I interact with. Put that kind of presence behind the interaction. I would have to do half of what I do, or more than half, less than half. Like, I just can't imagine it because I'm just, I know it's an excuse, but it's true. Like, my life would become more narrow in a bigger way.
I think it will come automatic, if you get this ingrained into your way of thinking, then you don't even have to think about it when you're interacting with people. It's just there.
So I teach empathic communication, right? And so when you start realizing that most human beings have no idea what empathy is at all. They give sympathy. They do all kinds of things, advise, console. I can give you the names, but they do not give empathy because empathy requires presence. And so truly the only gift we can give each other as humans is our presence. And when we're not giving that, then we don't have that connection to do any of it. Isn't that why you teach it?
Yes. But I also teach in class that people just need, there's no difference between them and the Buddha. The only difference is sitting and staying present. And now I realize that's wrong. I shouldn't have said that. I've said that to many people. And I've made people believe that all they need to do is sit with themselves to be Buddha. But now I'm being told that they actually have to study. I know this seems like a joke, but I thought about it seriously. Like, I've said the wrong thing to people.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
I took it very seriously. I thought, shit, I misled all these people.
No, but I think
Well,
the thing that we have in common with Buddha is that we're empty. We're empty of self-nature, just like an enlightened being. So in that sense, we are the same as an enlightened being because we have that potential to see ourselves a certain way, right? So in that sense, you are just like a Buddha.
I think ultimately that's true. What you told me.
Yeah, if you sit with yourself long enough, you're going to have realizations.
Able to let go of their afflictions and obscurations and
But
delusions.
I was getting from Mariska that we do actually have to study this stuff to do that.
I think it's very helpful. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you don't have to study it necessarily.
I think it will depend on the person.
Oh,
Yeah. All of this, just like any religion, it's just tools to try to help get you to the same place, right? And some people can get there through, I don't know, I want to say art or, like it doesn't have to be memorizing all these step things.
Right.
Can it be helpful? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you have to ask yourself, how badly do you want it? Do you want it really badly? Then I would highly recommend you finding a teacher and going for it, and meditating a lot and trying to crack these ideas, if that feels right for you. Some people, that's not their path. Their path is something different.
I thought I got the impression that we had to actually understand, like study, like like Christians say, you have to know the Bible. Actually, you can't just say I want to be a Christian. You actually have to understand the Bible.
Because it's a very useful tool, because they believe, that can bring about realization. So that's what they draw all of their, information out of. So that makes sense to me. So this is just another like guidebook to get you to that place. The difference is between Christianity and Buddhism is that they bring in this part of emptiness that you don't really hear much about in church, right? And according to all of this, that's key, karma and emptiness together. So yeah, I would say if you can study that and trying to understand that, it will help you tremendously by speeding up the whole process. Is it the only way? No, absolutely not.
Didn't mean to distract.
No.
It had something to do with something.
No, it's a very good question. And what Val said too is very true. Once we have removed all of our afflictions, all of our self-cherishing and all of our yucky stuff, then what are we? We are, what's left is love, because we don't have to spend all our time on all that other stuff anymore. So you'll just be oozing with love because you're no longer worried about yourself and all your petty little things. But to get to that place, you can speed that up tremendously by having an understanding of karma and emptiness, and you can go very, very fast. No longer things don't face you the same anymore as before. We were dog sitting this beautiful golden retriever last week, and just looking at him, and I thought, wow, talking about the equanimity again. This dog, for one, just loved everybody in our family the exact same, didn't matter who. But then also on the street, every dog that he ran into was just so friendly, and he would just treat everybody the same. And then one day I walked through this alley, which I generally try to avoid because there's this Rottweiler there that is fenced in, but he will always come out and like launch at the gate and looks like he'll go and eat you. He's very scary to me. So I don't know why, but I decided to walk through that alley, and sure enough, there he was, and he wanted to attack Golden Retriever, and he wasn't fazed by this beast at all. He would just go say hello, just like he did with all the other dogs, and the big beast was a little bit confused by that because everybody's always scared of him, And I was just looking at this dog like, wow, I wish I could be like you, You just love everybody the same. Doesn't matter if they appear like a monster or not,
It's a neat story.
My dog went up to the animal controller person in the off-leash park and went waggling his tail and very friendly to, and it was my judgment going, why are you being friendly to that monster? They're ready to give you a $2,000 ticket. Don't go there.
Yeah, it is. So if we don't have that, if we can be more like those dogs.
But do you need discernment so you don't get chomped up by a Rottweiler? Or is that another topic? I don't mean to. That's another topic.
Yeah, I think, I'm just trying to say, just the state of mind, free of all of the yucky stuff. Dan walks around in the world as seeing everybody as beautiful and equal and treats them the same way, That's kind of the goal. because they don't live in fear or in anger or whatever it is that their specialty is, right? So yeah, so this is just one way to get to a place like that.
I have an issue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
About the mother?
It's okay.
Yeah,
We're all
exactly. I love serving. I love to help people.
Yeah.
But coming from a place of the way I see it, it's debt, it's repaying. I have an issue with that. And I can't see everyone like my mother. It's best for everyone that I don't see like my mother.
What did you say?
Debt,
Yeah.
repaying. I don't want to.
Oh.
I don't want to serve you because out of a feeling of debt. I want to serve you
right,
because, hey, I want to give you a cup of tea because I want to give you a cup of tea, not because I owe you a cup of tea because you were my mother in a previous life. Maybe that's my own personal mother issue.
I think so, and I think it can be really, really helpful for some people to study it like this as repaying their kindness, and you don't have to see it as a debt, as a repaying, but you can just see it as being kind for everybody. Okay, just leave out the word debt.
Mother and repay.
Yeah, if that doesn't work for you, you know.
Okay.
It's supposed to help you, you know. But you can also investigate that. Why is it that feels difficult for you? You know, what is it? Why do you get triggered by that? Yeah, I would sit with that and just have a look inside and see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you can get to the place that when you read that, cool, see it like that. You know, it's meant to help you to open your heart and to want to serve all beings. So if you need to leave out the word that's don't worry about it.
Or the word mother. You could change it to father.
Well, you know, I think what Mariska said
sorry.
is like a really
Yeah.
deep and really important piece, because at the end of the day, someone did carry you. Someone did birth you. And even for 40 years, or 50 or 60 years, they were not kind to you. There is something to be grateful for in just that, in just having someone give you life, this amazing life, because you wouldn't be able to be sitting here and hearing this and having these friendships and everything without that. So in a sense, there is something, even if it's just one little nugget, to be grateful for, and that to repay.
Yeah, no, I get it intellectually. I just don't get it on a different level.
On your
That's why-
heart?
That's something I have to say.
Your heart?
Sure, I don't know where. I don't get it on some level.
Have you gotten to that part yet, Mike?
No.
You will. And it's about the mother.
Okay, well that was class, my dears. Unless there's any other questions or comments.
Are you a bodhicitta?
Am I a bodhisattva?
Bodhisattva. Do you have bodhicitta?
I have bodhicitta.
Longing.
I definitely do. Yeah, I definitely do.
Don't we all?
Mariska's our little
Don't we all on some like? Doesn't every human being, once you uncover the suffering, have that? Is that like our true nature?
I think so. I think so. Yeah, I read somewhere that once you no longer have anger and pride and all of these things. When I read this, it transforms into just this oozing feeling of compassion and love. And I was sitting with that. I'm like, how is that possible? I don't understand. And then as I was sitting with it, all of a sudden it just came. And I didn't have any of those feelings of pride in anything. And I could totally understand how it is, how you can be like that all the time. And I think some things are just hard to understand intellectually, and then when you have that sensation, like, I don't know, it was really beautiful that once you're no longer pulled by all your stupid stuff, that what's left is just love and compassion, and it's just flowing, it's overwhelming and beautiful, and that will be your state. And when I read it at first, I'm like, yeah, it's nice, but I don't know, I don't really get it. And then when you can have a realization like that, then all of a sudden it makes sense, and then you can understand how you could be a being that's always like that. But I think sometimes it's hard to always understand things intellectually until you just have a deep realization, and then you just know, then you don't really have to think about it anymore. It makes sense or something. Yeah. So when you have that wish, that determination, it will flop into just being like that all the time. And it's so freeing when you're not weighed down anymore. All this poor me stuff. It's so tiring. And then all of a sudden you have all this energy that now just is love and compassion. It's no longer suffering. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay, so let's end with prayers here.
Sashi
Puki
Joshi
Traviravishi Nyande
Sange Shindu
Meteu Giro Kunanda Shinwa Chuposho Sunam Yeshe So So Shin Sunam Yeshe Lei Zhang Wei Dampa Kuni To Sho. But I do think many of us have that wish, Georgina. Yeah. There's maybe different levels of it.
Thank you.